We came out, we didn't want to sound like New York or LA or any other region of the country that was doing hip hop music, because that'll be just recycling. You know what I mean?
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Accolades Conversation series, in which I talk to some of my favorite artists about who or what they would recommend me checking out. Make sure to subscribe to our channel or hit the like button. Khujo is an American rapper and one-fourth of Goodie Mob, along with Timo, CeeLo, and Big Gip. He is the only featured guest on every single Outkast album. Khujo has released a book titled Straight Out of DA that focuses on the life and development of the Dirty South movement, from Outkast to Goodie Mob. I spoke to Khujo about Krush Groove, a 1985 musical comedy drama film, written by Ralph Farquhar and directed by Michael Schultz, who also produced the movie along with George Jackson and Doc McHenry. This film is loosely based on the early days of Def Jam Records and the up-and-coming record producer Russell Simmons, renamed Russell Walker in the film, portrayed by Blair Underwood in his feature film debut. Also appearing in the film are LL Cool J, Beastie Boys, New Edition, The Fat Boys, and some of their songs, as well as other songs from Chaka Khan, Debbie Harry, and the Gap Band. If you're into my illustrations, please check out my illustration book Accolades, which you can still get on craterecords.be. This is what Khujo had to add.
Like with me, like for hip hop, man, I would definitely tell you to check out a couple of movies, man, like Krush Groove and Beat Street and Breaking. When I first saw those movies, man, I really kind of was really bit by the hip hop bug. You know what I mean? Those were iconic hip hop movies that during my time, like in the 90s and the late 80s, you know what I'm saying? That's what I was looking at down here in the South. You know what I mean? Just trying to really get a grasp on how the culture was and what was it all about. I guess being in hip hop at that time and still being young, man, it was they might have said something about it. Run-DMC might have said something. LL Cool J might have said something. Curtis Blow might have said something, or something that might have triggered me to being like, yo, I want to go check these movies out. You know what I mean? But I eventually did check those movies out, and really I was seeing how New York was really moving back in the late 80s and early 70s.
And do I have to picture that in a way that it was played in cinemas?
No, actually, those was on VHS tapes. Krush Groove. The Fat Boys came to my school in maybe like 85 or 84 when I was in middle school. And the human beatboxers started beatboxing over the intercom. So we had intercoms in the school. And the principal came on, man, and said, I got a surprise for y'all, man. We was like, man, what is it? We like, man, you got a surprise for us, the principal? Man, what is it? Man, it was the human beatboxing over the intercom. And we lost our mind, man. Everybody in the class, you could hear the whole school just erupt, like almost like we was hearing them on the radio, and all of a sudden they in our school. You know what I mean? So, and then Curtis Blow was with them, and I think his singles like We Were Playing Basketball came out during that time, and Houdini came to the school. So,
oh wow,
that was all I needed to. For some reason, that was all I needed to hear that day. You know what I mean? And then the next, I remember people coming to school with gazelles on. You know what I mean? Kangos. We're talking about the South now. I'm talking about in Atlanta, Georgia, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia. People coming to school with Adidas suits on. Adidas shoes with no shoelaces in them. You know what I mean? We was breakdancing hard back then. Ticking and all type of stuff. So man, we was affected by all the elements of hip hop, man. And Krush Groove, you had Run-DMC was in that movie. Like I said, you had the Fat Boys was in that movie. You got Shy Rock that was in that movie from the Funky 4+1.
We did it on Shy Rock.
You did?
Yeah.
Shy Rock is cool, man. Her and DJ Cass has a radio station out here, Rock the Bells Radio. You have all the people in there, man. Sheena Easton was in there. You had, man, LL Cool J was in there, man. So a lot of people that was in that movie still doing what they're doing now. You see what I'm saying? And that's why that movie is really inspirational, man, because most of those people are still around. You got one of the members from the Fat Boys He's still around. You know, you got Curtis Blow, he's still around. LL, you know what I mean? DMC, Rod, you know what I mean? So yeah, that movie there, man, that really touched me, man. That's why I'm still doing what I'm doing today, because of movies like those.
Did those movies have to do with like how you approach your art afterwards?
That's a good question. That's a really good question, because I remember at the time, man, you had people from the South trying to talk like they was from New York. You know what I mean? Because we had seen those movies and was inspired by those movies. But you got other homegrown people like Kilo, you got Ghetto Mafia, you got the Hard Boys, you got Success in Effect, you got Damage, you got Mojo. So these were some artists that was from Atlanta. They wasn't really influenced by the New York thing. I mean, you could tell because their stuff was still Southern. They were still influenced by like Luther Campbell and Two Live Crew and, you know what I mean, Ghetto Boys and stuff like that. That was the influence that was going on in Atlanta at the time, but it wasn't no major record labels. So you really had to be on that independent tip. And Georgia was a small, compared to like a California and Texas, where, you know what I'm saying, independent music goes a long way. You know what I mean? They ain't really need no major record label. The artists down here, I think they was inspired by like some of the South Coast, like Texas and Florida and Miami. But when I started getting a variety of music that was being played on the radio, that's when you got groups like Outkast and Goodie Mob coming with different subject matter, you know what I mean, different type of ideas, kind of well-rounded on some things, you know what I mean, kind of like with LaFace. I mean, it was a major record label, you know what I mean, so we was traveling to different states and to different countries, so we got kind of well-rounded in things, you know. The Dungeon was like a base for us, you know what I mean. We would come, the producers would kind of do pre-production right there. We would come, kind of write the rhymes out, get everything sharp or whatever. So when it's time to go to the big studio, when you got to pay money for, you know, we was ready, you know what I mean? So, but just being in that environment kind of, you know what I'm saying, molded us into who we are, man. You know what I mean? I mean, just, I don't want to say it, man, but I mean, just kind of like hard, but yet still with the density of like clay, you know what I mean? Still being able to mold some type of thing, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was really different with Organized Noise and Dungeon Family, man. It was a different upbringing, you know what I mean?
I know you guys put out an album like last year or the year before, right?
Right. We put out Survival Kit, 2020.
It's shit. Okay, it's been longer than I thought.
I think it was either 2020 or 2021, but it was when the pandemic had hit. Okay. Everything had. It was really different, man. But
did you tour on that album?
We didn't tour that year on that album. We didn't tour that year, but we got some tours coming up now this year. And I would love to get cross seas, man, over there in your neck of the woods.
Do you still follow rap nowadays as much as you used to?
Oh, yeah, like right now I'm about to get ready to release a mix CD called Paid Mentality. Okay. And it's powered by independent artists. I sent out a post. I told people to tag the hottest artists in their city and let them know, man, we're going to drop a mix CD, man. And I'm going to put music on there also, you know what I mean? So I still keep up with it, man. I mean, I've been getting some fantastic music, man, from the people that have been submitting music for the mix CD. So yeah, to a certain extent, yeah, I still follow hip hop, man, but it's at a certain level now. You know what I mean? That's how I get inspired. I get inspired off of a new artist. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're bad or good, it's that they still had the courage to put that song out, even if somebody said that shit whack as hell. That person might have said, you know what? I don't think so. I think it's shit jamming. You know what I mean? So I'm inspired by all the new artists, so I don't want to leave nobody out. You know what I mean?
Gotcha, yeah. I always had a feeling like if there's a word that describes Atlanta rap for me, it's like kind of progressive.
Right.
There's always it's kind of pushing the limit, and that's what I like so much about it, because that's what Outkast did. That's what you guys did. It's like the BPM was all over the place.
Yes.
and that's what those new guys have as well. And there's like a very fresh element to Atlanta rap, I think, and you know that's from a European point of view, I think.
You're right, man. It's push. You said it right. Push it to the limit. Push the envelope. You know what I mean? Because I think, I don't know, maybe Atlanta artists just recognize, you know what I'm saying, what New York did, what California did for hip hop, and Texas and Midwest did. So now it's just time to put a new twist to it. You know what I mean? That was our one thing that we didn't want to do when we came out. We didn't want to sound like New York or LA or any other region of the country that was doing hip hop music, because that'll be just recycling it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think with Atlanta, Georgia, especially just Georgia period, because it's not just Atlanta. There's people outside of Georgia like the Migos. They were not from Atlanta. They was outside of Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? North side of Atlanta.
I want to thank Khujo for this conversation. On next week's episode, I'm talking to DJ Dogpound from one of my favorite podcasts, Office Hours, about the importance of Graham Smith or Kleenex Girl Wonder. Thanks for listening, watching, or however you check out Accolades. Give us a thumbs up or follow our channel. See you next week.